Okay, we are live. Welcome to the conversation. So, this is one of our Fast 40 patient spotlights. I have so many amazing people, amazing, both men and women, but primarily women who are just resetting their hormones, losing fat, and getting their health back. So, I want to welcome Katie to the call. Say hi, Katie.
Hello, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's super cool. So let's start off right off the bat so people know where you are. What day are you on in the Fast 40 and what's your results so far?
Yeah, so I am on day 14 and I am really excited to see results. I have had 5.7 pounds lost over those 14 days.
So in 2 weeks, 5.7 pounds. This is huge. So, and just this is something I would point out to you is that the average weight loss in this country when people do weight loss programs will be a half pound to a pound per week.
hmm
So the average person in a month, in an entire month, might lose 5 pounds, maybe. So you've done that in 2 weeks, which is really cool. What are you noticing about yourself as you're losing the weight?
well, for starters, I definitely have noticed I have more energy. The brain fog's starting to clear and my skin is starting to clear up. I also am really noticing that I am having way less cravings and really actually looking at getting really excited for my lunches and for my dinners because it's really good, clean food. And so just overall, I feel better. I'm also sleeping through the night and getting about 8 hours of sleep, which is not something that was happening before.
Jeez. Okay, Katie, let's back up for a second. I swear you said your skin is clear. What do you mean?
Well, so you probably can't tell on the camera, but I used to have like all this redness up here and
Wow.
around here. And I've tried
Wow.
every product under the sun. And honestly, dermatologists, they just said, well, just put hydrocortisone on it, which then like
Just
really is not great for your
put a
skin
chemical,
over
put a
time.
chemical on
Really not
yeah.
great. Yeah. And
Jeez.
so it just seemed like I had dry skin and didn't matter what product I used. And so I really when somebody who turned me on to this program said her skin was clear in 2 weeks. And I was like, well, that'll be really interesting because I've struggled with this for years. And I am 2 weeks in and maybe have a little dryness right here, but every day it's better.
So, Katie, why do you think that your skin is clearing up?
I really think because my body was inflamed. I think that there was a lot of inflammation, the things that were going into my body, not to mention the God knows how many chemicals that I was putting on my face or in my body to try and treat the symptoms of it. I think my skin's actually starting to just repair itself and balance out, not to mention all of the water that I'm drinking.
Wow. So, okay, yeah, I agree with you with all of that. Something I want to point out is that people don't that's not a normal thing when people lose weight for the skin to clear up, just so you know. Now, I'm not talking about the fast 40. I'm talking about Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Paleo Keto. You do not hear people who are taking Ozempic and Wegovy saying their skin's clearing up.
Yep.
So I want to
Yep.
make sure I make a big distinction here
Yep.
because you are resetting your hormones in the process, and the byproduct is you're losing fat. So let's point something out. When someone's hormones are using sugar as a fuel source, if sugar is what your body uses to build your cells and tissues, what kind of skin do you think you would end up having?
Probably really, I don't know, like damaged, sugary skin sounds weird, but just chemical-ridden skin that's probably dehydrated and not really
Mhm.
healthy for you.
Inflamed, red.
Inflamed,
Yep.
red, flaky.
Yes. So then you go to your doctor and say, hey, doc, can you just check this out? This skin thing I got? Oh, yeah. You know what? Let's put some cream on that. Let me
Mhm.
give you a chemical that comes from a company to put on this. And so, a few things to understand about this is what your medical doctor, unfortunately, I'm at the point of kind of saying that I'm not sure they even know this at this point, but your skin is an eliminative organ. It is designed to eliminate toxins.
Mhm.
Okay. So when your skin is red, rash, there's all even acne, there's all kinds of things we could label this as. What our medical system has gotten good at is labeling you with a diagnosis, because then I can match you up with a pill or a potion or a lotion. However, in the history of it, it's never fixed anyone's skin.
Nope.
Never. So it's interesting, right? You just become a customer of these medications. So when you actually understand, if you go to your doctor, this is what your doctor should do. Okay, I see you're red and itchy. That's interesting. Since your skin is a limited organ, it means it's flushing out some toxins. That means you have toxins inside you. How do we get rid of the toxins? That's a different conversation. That is what a doctor should do. That is what your doctor 100% should do, because doctors aren't they supposed to understand the body?
You would
And,
think.
right. So instead of understanding medications, and most of our medical communities understands medications, that's fantastic. Thank God we have that for emergency care. But can we just talk about how the body actually works? So if we know that, then I figured out a long time ago, if you're a sugar burner, your skin is dry, itchy, your hair is not as nice. Let me go across the board. If you're a sugar burner, I don't mean if you eat sugar. I'm saying if your hormones are now using sugar, you have a lower IQ, literally, than you normally should have. Your
Yep.
emotions are all over the place. You have more depression, anxiety. You
Mhm.
can't think straight. You have brain fog. And so that would be the thing to fix, is let me actually stop using sugar and start using fat. And so the
Mhm.
byproduct, fat stores toxins. When you actually release the fat cells, toxins go away. You actually pee them out. So your skin doesn't desperately have to eliminate how poisonous and toxin your body is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So it's a long description, but this is what doctors, I believe, should do. Should actually teach you about your body, so we're empowered. And I want you, Katie, to be empowered about, oh, I get my body now.
Yeah.
I didn't have even rosacea. Rosacea is a Latin name for skin inflammation. It's not a
Really.
disease, right?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I love this. So your sleep got better. I was going to ask you. You mentioned about brain fog. What do you mean? What's going on there?
Yeah, so busy mom, 2 boys, when you're not sleeping well, it just seems like, it was hard to always think about things, or stay focused was a big thing for me, and we can talk about that,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
I have ADHD and made a decision related to my ADHD medication,
Yeah.
but in all honesty, it just is interesting how I actually feel like I have control of my thoughts. I'm not gonna say that I don't have cravings that here and there and things like that, but I control my reactions. And
Yeah.
and and I feel like I can actually sit and think and focus and have control of that. I'm not tired, and I'm not relying on as much caffeine as I used to rely on. I can actually just get up and have my day and not feel like I have to rely on chemicals to get me going in the morning.
That, Katie, what is it's funny. I was just thinking all the things you listed off: low energy, poor sleep, skin irritation, brain fog, ADHD, depression, anxiety, whatever we try. There's a pill you could take 8 pills for all that.
I did.
Yeah, yeah, and did. Okay, so
I
can
did
you
or
just
I do.
or you do, right. So here's the interesting piece of this now. And again, there's no judgment for that. It's just, am I asked myself at 19, how much depression medication would I take before my depression is fixed? That's what I asked my doctor.
Mm.
This is a question you should ask your doctor. And what do you think the answer would be, Katie?
Well, I can tell you because I in a way asked this question, and it's, well, you always have depression or anxiety, and you keep taking it, and the medication is what keeps it to where you can still function, and so you never really get off of it.
Katie, can I just tell you what you just said was so, I love how you said that. And it reminded me of a drug dealer.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Hey, how long do I take this? Well, unfortunately, you have a condition that never goes away, so you'll need to conveniently take my product and be a customer of mine for the rest of your life. Pretty convenient for
Yep.
me. I got a good customer.
Yep.
So I love how you said that. So yeah, and this is the terrible education that is in our medical schools. I love our medical doctors. Our medical system is the education is terrible. It is sponsored by drug companies. So now doctors believe this crap, that depression is for the rest of your life and anxiety is for the rest of your life. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Like, oh my God, that's as if your body and brain don't know how to heal, right? Well, if you don't give them the
Mhm.
right tools, they don't know how to heal. So I'd love to know, because you mentioned a little bit about you and I. You told me this after about, I think, some of the medications. Do you feel like talking about that? Some stuff you decided to
Yeah,
change?
absolutely.
Okay.
So, I have taken ADHD medication for about 18 months. I've been on depression and anxiety medication for 10 years.
Wow.
And I really started to notice I was probably 5 or 6 days into the fast
Hmm.
40, and I just felt like I didn't need the ADHD medication. And I don't take my medication every single day, specifically on weekends for ADHD. And so last Saturday, I was, I think, 7 or 8 days into the program, and I just decided, you know what, I want to try not taking it. And it was so interesting because I felt like I could, be myself, feel my emotions a lot more. And then I carried that into this week. And I've had moments where, I'm doing email on my computer, things like that, that I would struggle with. And I've been perfectly fine. And better than that, there were some
Wow.
symptoms and some side effects that the ADHD med kind of did to me that I haven't had to contend with. But then also, I've been just as focused. And so that's kind of where the brain fog comes in, is I feel like I can sit down at my desk for 2 hours
Mm.
and get what I need done, and I didn't need a chemical to be able to do it.
Wow. Can I just say wow? That's freaking powerful. You don't hear people saying this when they're just losing weight. This is
Mhm.
something more is happening with you. And I want to drop something on you. Thank you for being open and sharing this.
Yeah,
Do you know that let me give you the truth. Do you know there is no scientific proof that ADHD is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain?
I did not know that.
Well, Katie, let me ask you something. What test did they show you that you had a chemical imbalance?
They didn't. It was an
No.
inline. Yeah.
Did they just talk to you and tell you had ADHD?
Yeah, I had to take a couple, like, focus tests and things like that, but yeah.
No actual evidence. None. Not one test. Not one test to show that it's imbalance in the brain.
Hmm.
Now, so what is it?
Yeah.
ADHD, it's nervous system dysregulation. So I will say poor sleep, bad nutrition, stored trauma, not allowing emotion to pass through us, chronic stress, lack of movement. These are the things that lead to what people think is ADHD. But when we can't, you got to understand, when we come up with a diagnosis, here's what diagnosis is. Die means two. Agnosis comes from the Latin word to guess. So it's two people guessing.
Really?
Just so you know. So Katie, you go, man, I can't even think straight. I've been like, because you have stress, there's emotions stored inside you, you haven't slept, whatever it is, right? I'm really stressed. To go, you have the ADHD. I do. I've got that. Whoa, oh my gosh. And you learned nothing. They just told you the same thing you told them. I can't focus. You go, attention deficit disorder. Well, wait a minute. I just told you I'm having a problem with my attention. It's a little bit of a deficit. You're going to tell me back I have an attention deficit disorder? Isn't that what I just told you? You ever think about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty
But
funny.
I've
It's pretty
not
funny.
thought of it that way.
Right. So it's interesting. I love this. And again, I have no judgment on medications. I want you to be empowered. And I love that you made a decision. You and I hadn't even talked about this, and you were like, "Hey, I just felt like I wanted to stop taking this."
Yep.
So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I have had hundreds of patients over the years slowly get off these medications. And one of the big problems I have is they ask me, how should I get off them? And I say, listen, I'm not trained in medicine. And I say, go back to your doctor. And it's a big problem because your doctor, did you know in medical school, they did not teach people to get off medications? They're not trained to get off. The pharmaceutical company only wants to show you how to get on it,
Hmm.
not off it. So I had to figure out ways. I literally had to figure out with my patients how to get off it. And so
Yeah.
we figured out, I won't, yeah, so we can share that at some other time. So I'm so proud of you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And any other, I mean, Jesus, like brain. So you're getting clear. What's the impact in your life now of having some of these things clear out?
Well, I mean, the sleep has been a big one because I was really struggling with falling asleep, but more than that, I would wake up, toss and turn 2, 3 times a night, and so even if I was in bed for 8 hours, I was really only getting, like, 6-ish hours of sleep, and it wasn't good quality sleep.
Ugh.
And now I'm getting consistently 7 to 8 hours, and I'm staying asleep, and I feel rested when I wake up, and so I will
Wow.
say that I have energy to do things around the house, and I've got 2 busy kids, and so I actually, can keep up with all of that, and I'm not feeling like I need to reach for caffeine. I travel a little bit for work, and it was interesting. I was driving back from a client the other day, and it's about a 4-hour drive. And one of the habits that I didn't realize I had created in some of my driving was I stop at a gas station and I get certain snacks
Mhm.
and then eat them over the 4 hours
Right.
and or whatever amount of time I'm driving. And so I had that drive and I pre-do my meals. I have a meal plan. I eat at the right times most of the time, and everything like that. And it was so interesting to actually, while I was driving, feel that habit pull to stop at a gas station and get pretzels or something chocolatey or sweet or things like that, and be able to recognize that I was not hungry because I had just eaten and I was bored. I was
Wow.
bored because it's a 4-hour drive. And so I have
That's
been able to
huge.
say, like, okay, I'm feeling bored. If you've had enough water, you've had enough food, all of
Yes.
those things, and to find like an audiobook or something fun to listen to that fills that time, but to be able to feel the emotion enough to realize not actually hungry, it's just something that you're using. But when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're all those things, you don't have time to think about that. If I was too tired or wasn't getting the sleep, I just mindlessly go get the food and then you eat it and you feel bad about it later. Whereas now it was, you know, hey, you're feeling this way because you're bored. What else could you do? And it just slowed down that thought process for me and made a better decision.
Yeah. Man, because I've done the same thing too. I love that you're aware of that. That is such a big thing. I was just thinking about how many times it's a habit of like you just munching on something, right? So, Katie, for people listening, have you to lose this weight? Have you been starving yourself? Have you been working out? Like, what are you finding? What are you doing?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I am probably eating more now than I was before because one thing also with ADHD medication is it suppresses your
Mhm.
hunger. And
Oh,
so
good point. Good point.
my
Yeah.
issue was I wasn't eating enough, and then when I was, it was definitely not quality food.
Good point.
And so it was not uncommon that I would show up at dinner time and I had only consumed 500 calories the entire day. And
Great
then
point. Mm.
like that is not a good place to come into dinner and eat then like 6 Girl Scout cookies and things like that,
Yeah.
while you're
Yeah.
making dinner. And so I have um pre pre-planned my meals and I have incorporated a lot of variety. And so one of the things I had to figure out was being honest about what I'm feeling. Coming off the ADHD medications was part of that journey because it helps me understand when I was actually hungry, because there
Yeah.
were times I was hungry but I wasn't feeling it, and so it's helping me with my hunger.
Yeah.
So TMI, but I had my period this week
Yeah.
and I'm hungrier. And so it was crazy when I let you know that and you said, well, you need to eat more. And
Right.
I had
That's what a
a
crazy idea.
right. And I had like a not bad, but not like great weight loss. It was like point 0.2 or point 0.3. And you were and it was something you caught in like a side comment that I said about hunger. And you were like, you need to up your ounces. And I did. And then I lost point 0.5 pounds the next day and then have been incorporating more into it and have not been hungry. And so
Wow.
it was so interesting to eat more and lose more.
Yes. 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 Across the board. Um, wow, Katie, that is so cool. And I'm glad you mentioned this because so I've had many people without even telling me that get off ADHD medication, had several get off depression, anxiety pills. They tell me halfway through finally. And it's an important thing you mentioned. Since it is suppressing your appetite, I want to make sure we're going to expect you get off it. that your appetite will come back, but it's still a little bit of, I want to say, can I just say a mind fuck? That's what it is.
It
So
is.
yeah, you're like, okay, wait a minute, is this hunger? So it'll take a little while for it to be like, okay, wait, yeah, I am hungry. Wait, I am hungry.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. That's I've had people do this many ways in terms of getting off the meds. Some people I've had get off at the very end. When you get off it during it, though, this is the challenge it does create, is what you're having to face is, okay, am I actually hungry? And you just feeling your hunger. What else is it suppressing? If it's suppressing hunger, what else is suppressing? And I'll tell you, it's suppressing, I don't want to say it like this, but it is suppressing a little thing called intuition. That's
Yeah.
what it does.
Yeah.
And even hungry, even being hungry, you go, well, this is an intuitive thing your body's telling you. Is it's like your gas gauge showing empty, and you go, no, 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 I don't want to look at you there. I'm not gonna look at you, right? So we got to know it's empty and acknowledge it. So you give it what it needs. So I just love hearing that you're eating more and you're dropping the fat off. And more importantly, that's why you're not doing this with a massive caloric deficit. You're literally giving yourself enough. So that is so damn cool.
And I think that that is probably because, I have a very supportive family, but I have talked to, like I was talking to my brother and he said, "So you're doing keto?" And I'm like, "No, it's not keto."
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, but you're not eating carbs." And I was like, "Yeah, but it's lean meats, fruits and vegetables." And it's so interesting because for
And no fat.
whatever reason,
No
and
fat.
no fat.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because for whatever reason, that has made it the simplest diet I've ever been on, honestly. I don't have to count anything. I mean, I weigh my food.
Yeah.
I don't have to count anything. I don't have to track anything. I have to eat on time and eat 3 simple things, and it has also, because there has been 2 different times in 14 days where I've eaten out, and it makes it
Mm.
so easy because you know exactly what you
Yeah.
need to eat. Now, you have to ask for what you need, and
Yeah.
it's interesting to tell a kitchen you can't cook that with oil,
Yeah.
or something like that, and for the most part, I've lucked out, and I've had really great wait staff that has done a great job, and I've had good weight loss the next day, but it's so interesting when you look at a menu and you realize, like, how much extra stuff gets put into food, obviously for flavor and all these other things, but to just break things down to where it's, I need a lean meat, I need vegetables, I need fruit. It just makes it so much easier. And I found foods that I love. Like bison is my new favorite food,
Yeah.
which is not easy to find, by the way. But
Yeah. Yeah. It can be. It can be. I know. I know. And so I love what you're saying for so many reasons. Just the fact you're getting to really learn what your body needs,
yep.
and you hit the nail on the head. Was so I'm a man, and I have a simple brain, and I'm saying this that I have a lot of complex thoughts in my head, but my genius is to simplify things. That's my
Mhm.
genius. And so the reason I do this is because I noticed that complexity is the killer of longevity.
Mhm. Yeah.
So when something's simple, right? And you everything you said was exactly why I did it that way. Was like, okay, I've tried counting calories. No one's gonna want to do this, and I don't want to do it. So if I don't do it with me, I don't want to teach someone it. So I only do the things on myself that work. That I end up teaching my patients. So yeah, you get to weigh it, and you're at a restaurant, you can actually see your food. You nailed it. It's like I want you to be able to actually visually see that. If you had to count the calories, I don't know. Like I don't want to carry. I want to carry a calendar, or not a calendar, but a calculator with me, and and try to calculate these calories. It's just neurotic. It's really neurotic.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. So I was just, one more thought I had was, I was really thinking about you getting off those meds and how much it would be. I'm actually now even more impressed, losing 5.7 pounds over those 2 weeks, having had your medications changed and not really knowing hunger. Like, I think you should even be more appreciative of what you've done, because it actually creates more challenge.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that's great.
Um, yeah, it's been an interesting 2 weeks. I thought I would have had more headaches and things like that in the first week coming off of sugar, and
Yeah.
I didn't, but I did. I really noticed that I think my body wanted me to feed it good quality food, and so there's just been good things that have happened because of that, and then you start to realize, well, you almost kind of go into the mind of like discovery and curiosity and like a scientist mentality where you're like, okay, I'm feeling this kind of way. What's contributing to that? And I just really noticed that when I was on those meds, I couldn't tell. I mean, if you've never been on these meds, your stomach is growling. You can feel
Mm.
your stomach growling and you are not hungry.
Wow.
And it's just so hard because you don't want to eat, but
Yeah.
your body's telling you you need to eat. And so that
Wow.
also is taking a little bit, you mentioned it earlier, of really getting back in touch with what does hunger feel like? What is
Yeah.
true hunger? What is, maybe you're just thirsty or you're bored or whatever that is. And so I mean, I'm still, I've
Yep.
got a ways to go and there's more, I'm still on anxiety, depression medication that I think we've chatted and we're going to stay on that for right now because we don't want to change too much at once.
Yeah.
But that's maybe something that we'll look at down in the
Yeah.
future, but it's been interesting to almost get back in touch with what you truly feel and why you wanted to start the program in the first place.
Yeah. I was even thinking through that too. Yeah, because the effects of I mean, you know this, but depression, anxiety meds also suppress hunger, and so
Yep.
you really are having to, and I've worked with this quite a bit. Right, you really are having to almost. I'm almost feeling this with you is almost like, okay, I'm taking some stuff that's going to suppress my hunger, but I can tune in and you're like, wait, I can feel the growling. Okay, I know I'm hungry, right? It's almost like you have to tune in just a little more. Because even I've seen with Prozac, I think it's Zoloft, Lexapro. Sometimes sometimes it increases appetite, sometimes it depresses appetite. So it's like,
Yep.
but getting to really tune in with your body is really big. So I think, man, that's a big feat, getting off sugar and getting off so that medication. Really, really powerful. So nice job, Katie. I'm really proud of you. And by the
Thanks.
way, I was going to tell you, your face, just in 2 weeks, your face, I almost didn't even recognize your face when I got in. I
Oh.
was like, it's really great. It must, a lot of it's come off from there. So, Katie, would you tell me one of the reasons I do this? Because I want to promote a lot of my patients and what they do.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I am an EOS implementer. And so what that really means is I am a business coach for entrepreneurial run businesses, and I help them with getting vision, getting traction and accountability in their business, and then leadership team health. And so I'm in all day sessions with leadership teams and coaching them to really help them understand what it is their vision is for the company, but more importantly, how to have the discipline and accountability to achieve that vision.
And is this your company you do this with, or you work for a company?
So I own my own business, but I am certified with EOS Worldwide, and they are kind of the intellectual property. Gino Wickman wrote the book Traction, and he gets all of the credit for the brains behind the program. But I have used it as inside of a business for 10 years and then decided to go out on my own and help
Oh,
other
great.
entrepreneurs and leadership teams. And so I have experience using it in a business, and then now I help businesses with it. But there are about 800 of us around the world that use EOS and are implementers of EOS. And actually, that is how I found you. I have a fellow EOS implementer out of Colorado
Yeah.
that I saw her at one of our events, and she looked amazing and was telling me about it. And it was so interesting because I went into this entire thing of I want an elimination diet because I had gone to a hormone doctor and
Mm,
they told me, well, you need to cut gluten, dairy, and sugar from your diet. And that was
okay.
it. And they said, and go do that and come back in 3 months and we'll take your labs and see what happens. And so it's so interesting because I left there and it just felt like such a weight of how am I going to do this in my life? And then I saw Rachel and she was telling me what she did. And she's like, it's not an elimination diet, but I think it's better for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I mean, she looked amazing and had great results on the program. And it's what brought me here.
Yeah, and here you are. Here you are saying, "I'm eating more than I was before and losing fat." Right?
Yep.
That's what's a interesting. That's because that's isn't it interesting that that's the advice of like. I mean, it seems like cut this and this. It seems I don't know how many people would take exercise and nutrition advice from their medical doctor?
Well, and it's interesting because I was just at the hormone doctor today because I had an appointment on the calendar because I had
Cool.
had labs before I started this. So I went. And it was interesting because last time I was there, which was probably 3 or 4 months ago, when she told me you need to cut sugar, and gluten and dairy because we don't know why you're having inflammation. Um, like at the end, because I hadn't been losing weight. I was working out a ton and I wasn't losing weight. And she said, "Well, I think you're inflamed and your gut is messed up. And so that this is what you should do." And she said, "But also just know that if you decide to do a GLP-1, we can do that for you as well. So maybe think about doing that because that'll make it easy."
Mm,
And I was like, "Well," and my
mm.
sister's a pharmacist. And she was like, "Yeah, don't do that. Please don't
Ooh,
do that."
hell yeah.
Um, and she was and she is more on the natural side of things. And so I it was interesting to go back today because apparently, and I haven't been paying attention to this, but I guess there's been, a bunch of lawsuits. They've cracked down on GLP-1s and compounds and all these different things. And so the same doctor was like, you know, it sounds like what you're doing. And I didn't necessarily share the whole program. I didn't share some of,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other pieces. I just shared that I'm eating lean proteins and vegetables and fruit. And she was like, "I think that that's the better natural way to do it. I think that if you keep doing that, that'll reset your gut and you'll continue to lose weight." She's like, "And honestly, there's a lot going on with GLP-1. So I just don't know if that's the right path for you. So just keep doing what you're doing." And it was kind of this
That's
feeling of like, okay, that's great. I'm glad you support it. Not that I needed your support, but
right.
also I came to you as an expert and I didn't really, you took my
That's funny.
labs. That's pretty
Yeah.
much what I felt like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what a good I'm glad I meant to ask you that. So thank you for sharing that story. Um, that's kind of what I was kind of saying with I love our medical doctors, and the problem is that our medical education, so people know this, is sponsored. So who pays for the medical school education? Pharmaceutical companies.
There was a
Just so people
pharmaceutical rep in the lobby when I left.
Yeah. Yeah. So not only did you go to school paid for by pharmaceutical companies. Now, when you're in practice, you got a few a day, and they're giving several tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to take you out to dinner, to take you on a boat, and to sell their product. It has nothing to do with health. And
Yeah.
so, you nailed it. And I was also going to also acknowledge, I'm really appreciative. It is kind of funny, like you said, though. You're like, I came to you for this. Um, in all fairness, these medical doctors are not given many solutions. And
Mhm.
I think deep down inside, I don't think it sounds to me like that doctor. The reason I kind of said, "Oh my gosh, I actually really like that person." If a patient comes to you and they're saying, "Hey, I'm doing this thing, it's working," they say, "Well, that's great. I don't have to put you on medications." I I'm like impressed
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah. It
that's
was
all that's
good
all.
that
Yeah,
I didn't have to worry about that. So that
yeah,
was
yeah,
definitely something that was nice.
yeah. So 1,443 pending lawsuits in the United States for GLP-1 agonist drugs. And these are all in
Wow.
litigation. Yeah, these are all in litigation right now. They've been happening for a while. The lawsuits are because the companies have inadequately warned people about severe gastrointestinal side effects. When I say severe, gastroparesis, meaning your intestines and your stomach, they stop working.
Yeah.
Ischemic bowel. You don't have blood supply into your cells and tissues. And just so you know, when you don't have blood supply, the cells
Yep.
die. So and then it was intestinal blockages and other. So now there's also gallbladder, all kinds of stuff that's happening. So I've been posting about this for the last 6 months, um, but we're going to start seeing pretty soon. There'll be so many side effects that it has just been a landslide of them just making a bunch of money off of getting people sick. Truly.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's so thanks for weaving that all in. And by the way, what does EOS stand for?
Yep, it stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and
Okay.
it is a system for running your business, but specifically targeted around privately held businesses ran by entrepreneurs, because what an entrepreneurial run company needs versus a large corporation is very different. So just simple set of practical tools that helps you run a better business.
That's cool. I love that. So this is my fourth business, and the first business is a chiropractic office where I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting business training. And
Yep.
so, yeah, so it's cool because now I have, a lot of I apparently I'm attracting the US community, which I love because I love entrepreneurs and I love people who are coaches. So it's perfect. It's so
Well,
good.
hey, I just will tell you, when we find something we love, we tell everyone about it. So
Yeah.
that's probably
Well,
why.
that's so cool. Well, Katie, I'm so proud of you. And this is a great conversation because it really, for you to really hear, man, getting off those meds while you're doing this makes this more complex. So it's even more incredible what you're doing. And I want to support you in that. And so great job. I can't wait to see what's going to happen on day 40. The sky's the limit. Like
Mhm.
your health is the fat loss is like this byproduct. It's like your health is coming back. And
Yeah.
so it makes
Yeah,
me happy.
for sure.
That's so
Thank you.
cool. Awesome. Well, it was great to have you on. I can't wait to see. We'll do it. We'll do in day 40. We're gonna do a little review and see where you are there. So sound good?
Absolutely. That would be great.
Okay, I'll see you again. I'll see you on WhatsApp. It'll be